Hello and welcome back to Hold On, I'm Talking Brother. My name is Joe Greenwood and you are listening to our review of UFC 300 from Las Vegas, Nevada, with a headlining fight of Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill for the light heavyweight title. As per usual, I'm joined by my regular co-host Tom Ballum. And Tom, I don't know about you, but this felt like MMA completed. What do you reckon to that idea?
I'm really relieved to hear you say it, Joe, because you've been a bit down these past few weeks. Struggles in your personal life. I just caught you eating cold pet food before coming on. And you were falling out of love with the UFC, but my God, that delivered. That was amazing on Saturday night.
Okay, yeah, it really was. Can I just say when I'm saying that the MMA was completed, I'm saying it in the sense of I think we need to almost restart the sport, or we need to change the sport now because we need to go on to something new. Because a couple of those performances that I saw on Saturday was so good, I'm like, I don't think they can ever be beaten. Do you know what I mean? There's one in particular, and you know which one I'm talking about, that we'll get to in a couple minutes.
Well, hold on, Joe, because you're leading me nicely in here to a question I have for you right off the bat.
Yep.
Because we're talking about every single fight on this card. Such was the magnitude of this event. So just as a general overview, I want you to tell me 5 moments that stick with you in your head right now. What is the first thing you think of when you think about that card?
Do you want me to give you 5 or the first one?
No, I want the first one, the second one, the third one, the fourth, and the fifth. Right now, not overly thinking it.
All right, Holloway buzzer beater.
Yes.
Poatan left hook.
100%.
Kayla Harrison mauling home.
Okay.
Diego Lopez sending Sadiq Yusuf flying. And Yiri eating that elbow from Rakic and just not moving. Those are the first 5 that popped into my head.
Yuri proving that leg kicks aren't real. They can't hurt you. Yeah, I'm with you there. I think Kayla Harrison drops out of my moments in favour of the Sterling snooze fest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just because it was such a low point. You know?
You needed it. Do you know what do you know what my 6th one was? It was just Jim Miller. Just Jim Miller in general. Just amazing. Just amazing that he's made it that far. Anyway.
Right. Let's go.
Let's go. We're going to go from the top to the bottom. We're going to start with the main. We're going to go all the way down to the first fight of the prelims. Starting with Alex Pereira's knockout win over Jamal Hill. Light heavyweight title retained. And he did it with such disdain. From the walkout to the meme celebration over Hill's lifeless body, it's not even lifeless, shocked body. Pereira went out there with absolute contempt for Jamal Hill, and rightfully so, and treated him as the absolute can that he is, was, and always will be now. That was so easy from Pereira, and the thing that stood out to me was actually how physically strikingly different they were. Pereira built with granite, and Jamal Hill with his little belly sort of wobbling about as he gets sent careening to the floor. What was this like? I mean, what else can you really say about it, Tom? But I'm sure you will.
Yeah, I mean, you're very dismissive of Hill, and you have to be. That was a humbling, a real disdainful humbling. Hill had a lot to say, and Pereira.
Yeah,
Figueiredo did some humbling of his own, but Pereira seemed to take a little bit of that on board. You know, there's a little bit of extra colour in it for him, which we don't get much from him.
No,
in terms of emotion, and that was actually one of the things that was really apparent with the walkouts and in the build-up. Is you've got like Hill is emotional and he's overcompensating for.
Yes.
I don't know, something in his background, right? And Pereira he just is. He's as old as time. He doesn't move with the seasons. He's just rigid. And he's always there.
He's Treebeard from Lord of the Rings.
Truly. And yeah, man, like it couldn't have gone worse for Hill. I just don't see a worse outcome from that. He's just. I mean, how do you take him seriously after getting beat like that? Of course, we have to highlight, Herb Dean being just shushed, patted away.
Yeah.
I'm gonna knock him out. Just out.
Yeah.
Out.
Yeah. He's like, he literally said that. It's like, sorry, I've got my rhythm, I got my distance. Excuse me whilst I just dismiss this fool. And he said, like, yeah, it hurt a little bit, the cup kick, but not enough for me to stop. And just walked forward. And the left hook, the other thing that kind of got me was that, like, it wasn't like this super, like...
Didn't even land.
It slashed across his face. Like, it's like a slashing left hook that...
But, you see the old eyes roll back real quick, in the slow-mo. It's something special, is what it is. And we called it a little bit in our breakdown, Like, it is that
I called it.
Oh, wow. I mean, I just felt like I was marching into a death sentence. The whole walkout, I don't know what happened to me. That was one of the biggest... That was a Joe Greenwood scale aberration of a pick. So, yeah, congratulations for that. That's 2 points for you having called the knockout. I just don't know what happened to me picking Hill. Yeah. Just that build, he just builds into a rhythm, and suddenly he's coming forward, and suddenly the water's getting pretty hot around you, and then everyone is like, standing over you, and the lights come on, and you've just been knocked out, my son.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that, like, he's not even doing a huge amount Pereira. Like, Hill was doing more. Like, he was doing more to Pereira, and Pereira just coming forward, jab into the body, ducking down there, and you see him, like, measuring the left hook with the jab to the body, where it's just like, okay, he's there, block this calf kick, okay, he's there, calf kick there, okay, kind of in range. All right, let's give this a go. And then he just uncorks, is the only left hook he threw. And
is that true? The only left hook he threw?
Yeah.
God damn.
It was the only one he threw. He's almost, to me, he's reached this sort of almost like Shane Carwin level of, like, mystique with his power. I remember when Carwin had his run, and it was just like, no one will be able to survive with this man if he touches them. And then Lesnar barely survived.
He brutalised him in that first round.
Yeah.
Brutalised him in that first round.
Yes.
And ended up getting brutalised even worse himself, of course. But.
Yes. And then obviously he had the JDS one, where at that point he was far gone at that stage. But Pereira's, I think the mystique is even greater because of how little he says. The mystique of the quiet, like, he's like quiet when he walks out, up until he starts doing that stomp rhythm thing with the bow and the arrow. Did you see Hill in the cage, by the way, like catching the bow and breaking it? And it's just like he'd really thought about that. He was just like, people are gonna remember this, aren't they? And now what they're gonna remember is Pereira's like over his body, going like, stood over him with his hands, like offering
that was a weird one. That was like a weird showing. That was like a bit of personality coming through. I was saying, like, this is what you get. This is the difference. It's kind of how I was interpreting. But then I know that there's that like is that like Cabby Lame? Is that his name? Like,
I think Pereira's kids had told him about this, and Adesanya, I think the week before, had taken a picture with that guy doing that pose, and I believe Pereira was doing that pose looking at Adesanya. Like, I believe that's the case, and it's like...
Did you see Adesanya's reaction?
Yeah, I did.
He was shook. Yeah. He was like, oh, no.
Not this
guy again. Oh, no. Even Usman was upset for Adesanya.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that brings us nicely on to matchmaking. Jamahal Hill, where does he go?
Fucking, he can fight Uzdemir for all I care. Like, get him out of there. Like, what? Get him out of the top 10.
Yeah.
Get him out of the top 10.
I mean, Ankalaev.
Rakic.
I mean, 2 fighters off a loss, though. We never love that.
Do you not like that?
Krylov.
Krylov, maybe, yeah. He needs to fight someone crap.
What about Khalil Roundtree? Hold up.
Perfect. Someone crap. That's you know what? Those two guys, their egos clashing would be hilarious. So yeah, I'd like a bit of that. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, Roundtree got a nice. If Roundtree could beat Hill,
yeah,
you could get a title shot.
Yeah, you got a guy in the picture for sure. And that's a fun fight too. Now Pereira, the reason I left him till second is that, man, this is exciting. The possibilities now, they are exciting. Like, you can go in many directions with him. So what are you leaning towards? What tickles you?
Aspinall.
Oh my lord.
Aspinall's the
He
thing
said
that tickles. Does it not? Does it not excite you?
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. Absolutely. I was like,
Because I'm
three belts. You know, he's kind of getting to that frame. Like, you're curious about it. Yeah, and he said it himself. Book it.
Well, I mean, what did he really have to do for this fight? I mean, obviously he trained for Hill, and they were going to fight at 301 anyway. So he's had this camp. Seems to be in fine nick. Had to cut weight. Didn't take any damage, and he knocked him out. And I mean, the only damage was really to his left hand. Like, that's the only damage he had to really contend with.
And even that was only the knuckles, you know.
Yeah, exactly, brushing across his nose and mouth. It was just amazing. But yeah, Aspinall's the one that really excites me for the heavyweight title. I have no. I mean, Pereira's never going to fight Jones, right? Like, Jones, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen.
If Jones doesn't take him down and Cyril Garmin in like 30 seconds, I'd be surprised. I mean, come on,
really,
come on,
yeah.
I mean, we like this can't go on.
I think
Also
Aspinall
fighting
could do that. Him.
Yeah, same. No, I think we'll find out. But still, the time is now. And if he goes up and it doesn't work out, he loses nothing. There are still huge fights for him out there. I mean, Adesanya. It's written, Joe.
It was funny. It was funny. Did you see Adesanya talking that week where he's like, I kept doing these camps and fighting, and I thought that that's the best thing to do, but I should have done less. And he said the 3 fighters he wants to face are Dricus, Hamzat, and Strickland. I was just like, Pereira's an interesting one not to include there. And he was just like, no, I beat him the last time. That's enough for me. And blah, blah. It's just like, is it? Yeah, is it? Because you know what could potentially be landing on you. I mean, Pereira Adesanya at light heavyweight would be something unique and special, I think. And to me, that's an interesting draw. We said before, like, if they had managed to got that book for this event, it would have, put it that notch higher. It would have been, the big time event that it turned out being, of course. But it was different though,
right?
It was different. It felt like more like, it didn't feel like they put on, because 100 and 200 had these sort of like ingrained beefs between guys, whereas this one, it was more like, we're just putting our best foot forward. We've got, to me, Pereira's the most exciting.
The best names.
He's the most exciting guy in the company. Outside of maybe a Topuria, maybe. We got Weili. Got Weili, who's the best women's fighter. You got Max, who's just like an absolute stalwart, or Gaethje's an incredibly exciting. Yeah,
they got the names out without the story. Like, I think we covered that. Yeah. Now,
hold on. What do you want for Pereira?
Oh no, I'm with you. You get no protest from me on that point. I think now's the time. Heavyweight, let's go. Let's go. He loses nothing, goes back down, defends his belt, and there are good matchups for him. Like, keep Ankalaev, keep that boy, subjugated.
Ankalaev and Yuri winner faces Pereira.
But Yuri versus Pereira again without bothering Ankalaev. Oof.
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean?
I'm saying, like, the same.
Don't even bother with Ankalaev.
But don't even bother with Ankalaev. Just book Yuri versus Pereira again. Come on.
Ankalaev Roundtree. There we go.
I mean, there aren't other names screaming out. Obviously, if Khalil can get a win over Hill, then book him next. Ankalaev can fight Blachowicz. They drew before. They need to sort that out. So plenty of stuff to.
Yeah. Jan Ankalaev, perfect. Just do that. I won't watch, but someone will.
Joe, last question on this fight before we move on.
Yeah.
You can only give a few bonuses out here. You got fight of the night, performance of the night, knockout of the night, and sub of the night. Is this one picking up any bonuses for you?
Oh, and I can't double up. Can I? I'm going to give this knockout of the night.
You are?
Give this. Yeah.
Wow, you've shot your load early there, Joe. There's a lot coming up, but not this next fight. Next fight Zhang Weili beat Xian Xiaonan, unanimous, 5 rounds.
Yeah.
But a better fight than perhaps we were expecting.
Yeah, I thought so. I mean, I think it was more that because Weili could have finished her in the first and second, either with that sub or the ground or the.
Were you happy? With how it went down in the first? You know, like she did choke her out, but she kind of stood up, wobbled up after the bell.
I don't mind that so much. It's more the second round where I'm like, I could have seen that finish. To be honest, that was more the egregious one to me. But then, because of those 2 rounds, Xiaonan was like, I've got to do something. I made it more of a fight because of that. Like, I felt that if maybe those first 2 rounds had been a bit more neutral, you wouldn't have had that sort of fiery comeback from Xiaonan. I mean, obviously, Weili was then able to pick it up again and sort of take control of the fight. But, yeah, I mean, to me, this was pretty much standard fare from round 4 and 5.
So you had it 49-46, I'm inferring. You gave round 3 to Yan Jianan.
Yes. Yeah. I presume you're the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that, like, I'm kind of, like, at a bit of a loss after this one, where I'm like, well, this was kind of the only person that she could really face. And now I'm looking at Weili, and I'm like, does she just move up, or does she fight Tatiana Suarez? Like, is that kind of it? I mean, Suarez is kind of this weird enigma who really should have been the champion at some stage, but she's not really fought anyone since coming back that's of significance. Maybe
She's
just get her in
handful.
there.
She's a problem.
She's definitely a problem.
Legitimate fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Suarez. Is that one of the few women's fight that would get you interested?
Well, I've just seen here, Joe, I'm searching down the names. I'm looking at this Lupi, ranked number 10. What's she got? She got some good stuff coming, or?
What, Lupi Godinez, is that her name?
Yeah. Any hope for that?
I don't really have much to say. Joe's strawweight corner. It's got a lot. There's quite a few cobwebs in there. It's just got a really nicely polished picture of Weili, and then just a load of the corpse of Rose Namajunas is over there somewhere. You know.
I feel you, Joe. Say no more. Yeah, it's, I don't know, not easy to matchmake.
Can we just talk about? I want to talk about Max.
Yeah. Well, this is the problem. This is the problem with Zhang Weili. Like, what do you do after that?
Yeah.
Like, how do you fight after that?
I know.
You know.
I know. It was so, like, you know, I just, before we recorded the last episode, I said I listed off probably my 10 greatest fighters of all time, and 3 of them were featherweight champions, not Conor. And Max is just top 5 fighters of all time now, isn't he? Max Holloway defeats Justin Gaethje by knockout, 4:59 of the 5th round, after pointing to the ground and saying, "Let's swing it out, let's do it, brother." And by the way, it was, people go like, "Wow, what a warrior." That was very calculated, of just like, I've beaten this guy up for 24 minutes. Yeah. He's had absolutely nothing for me other than like that one shot in the 3rd round.
Dropped him.
Yeah, dropped him. But Max recovered so well from that being dropped, where like Gaethje started to pour it on and then proceeded to land nothing because of Max's defense. You know, yeah. Let's just say this: Max Holloway was supreme this evening at UFC 300. It's possibly the best performance he's had since maybe the second Aldo fight. Like, I think it's that level of a peak. Do you know what I mean? Or the Ortega one, I don't know. I think the competition is an important part of it for me, because like Keita was just never on the level, Ortega wasn't ever on the level, but Aldo was, and it's just like, it's as good as those Aldo wins. I think like it was so impressive. It was so impressive, and just Gaethje was just bamboozled, really, wasn't he? From like round 1, he was just not even close to him, was he? Is this what's pulling you back from this fight?
No, it's not. No, I was just sitting back and listening, Joe. I'm just sitting back and listening to these words come out of your mouth, because I feel like they've been overdue. Yeah. And nice to hear some recognition on Match Blessed. Because you're saying like, oh, this is his best performance since. I was waiting for a qualifier, because there are so many big peaks and such great competition throughout his career. Yeah. He's fought Charles Oliveira. He's fought Jose Aldo twice. You know?
Yes.
He's fought Gaethje and Poirier and Kattar. He's fought all the top contenders, and he's beaten the vast majority of them.
Yeah.
So it's fantastic to hear you recognise.
But hold on, when I say the peaks though, like, you know, not every peak is Kilimanjaro. Some of them are Mounts, you know, Snowdonia, aren't they?
In this man's career, they are though, Joe. Come on,
because the nature of the performance.
Yeah, like let's think about who Jose Aldo was, right? Let's just think about that before Max.
The greatest fighter ever.
Well, right, exactly. You listed him comfortably in your top 10. The man had slipped up once in his career to Conor. In 5 seconds, you know, came out a little bit hot and got clapped very early. That's a freak event. I'm not saying I'd love to have seen a rematch, but Conor certainly wasn't interested in that. He didn't like them odds.
No, he did not. No, he did not.
Right. So, you know, he was so good they gave him the belt back as soon as Conor disappeared. They just gave it back to him. You are the champ. We accept that was just a freak event. And then Max comes along and knocks him out twice, back to back. Yeah. Comprehensively.
Yeah.
You know, he beat Jose Aldo worse than Volkanovski beat him.
Ooh. I don't know, that third one. That third one was close.
Yeah, but 2 knockouts and 2...
It was close, yeah.
We had to have 3. Because, you know, let's be real. People thought Max won the first fight. I know we've gone over this many times. Yeah, there were the knockdowns, weren't there, in the first fight? Am I?
No. He knocked Volkanovski down in the second fight. He knocked him down in the first and second round of the second fight. And then Volk had to come out and win 3-4-5, which is what I had.
And in hindsight, you know, I had to come to terms with that as well. But at the same time, until that moment, so I'm saying after the second fight, I'm still thinking like Max is the real champ here, you know, and this Volkanovski's just kind of in the way, but he's going to get what's his. Yeah, you know. Now Volk goes on to stretch out this amazing run, amazing legacy, and deals with Max, but that has to be put to one side because outside of that, you know, Max has just been imperious for me, knocking away these top challenges.
He's Aldo at UFC 200 beating the shit out of Frankie Edgar for the interim title. And it's just like, it says interim, but you're the featherweight champion of the world. You know? And it's like, yeah, Volkanovski beat Max, and now Topuria is the champion. But Max is still like number 1 or 2 in that division. Like, even with Topuria as the champ. Like, how far off is he?
Yeah. No, he's right there. No, I think he can fight whoever he wants now. Give the man whatever he wants. It's an interesting question. Do you, like... Because he kind of sat on the fence a little bit with who he wanted. A little bit.
He can fight anyone. Who does he want?
I know. But, like, if you're Holloway, do you want... Like, now's your chance to fight Makhachev off of that. Do you want that? Do you want to fight? Or do you want to fight Topuria off the back of that?
Well, here are the 4... No, here are the 5 options I sort of thought of. He could fight Topuria. He could fight Makhachev. Maybe after one of those he could fight Conor. Or down the road could he fight Oliveira again, just in this sort of like Gaethje sort of, here are 2 guys you want to see go at it. Or does he say, fuck all them, 5th option, Leon Edwards at welterweight?
What? That is 5th option is it's such a curveball. I wasn't ready for it. You kind of knocked me back off my seat with that last one. Yeah, I got to say, Max filled out. I mean, Max filled out. It was good to see.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, he looked like, you know, he looked a bit emaciated. That's his kind of slender man thing going on, but not at 155. I think he could go up. It's just a shame for him right now.
And with this new non-testing that they do as well.
Yes.
Yes.
Now look, Joe. My first thoughts of that. I like those shouts. He can't beat Makhachev. He can't. Does it damage him?
It's extremely unlikely, yeah. Like,
so,
I give
does it damage
a 1
his
in
legacy?
100. No, of course not. Of course not.
Oh boy. Yeah, but I mean, like, if he gets crushed by Makhachev, that takes a bit of heat off you. But I will say, like, let's say you take Makhachev now, all right, you lose, and then you go and beat somebody else. That Conor fight, that is there. Like, you can lose some fights and still fight Conor if you've got the name value and you've got the BMF belt.
Well, and also if you lose, that helps to draw Conor to you in a way, doesn't it? I mean,
Like,
we'll get to Conor.
Perhaps.
We'll get to yeah. I mean, we'll get to Conor at the end of this pod because obviously his next fight has finally been announced. But yeah, I mean, Max has got. So I think it's going to be Topuria. I think that's probably the most sensible option. Go back, claim your title as the featherweight champ, and then he could fight Makhachev after that. He could fight. He could for sure fight Makhachev after that.
I'm telling you, if they make Topuria Holloway beats Topuria.
Oh, he's called his shot. He's called it early.
I love Max, all right, and I ride till death, Joe.
Right.
And I'm just thinking, like, let's say he can pull that off. What do you do with Volkanovski then? Like there is that, you know how like DC, that he always had that question, that Jones question. It was always like he's 43, he's proven everything, but John Jones is still there, And there's got to be an element of Max where it's like, oh, that damn Australian, like he's getting older, he's been knocked out. Oh, come on. He goes and gets that one back, beats Volkanovski, then he's obviously the greatest featherweight of all time. Obviously. Like, don't even start a conversation about that if he beats Volkanovski. Gets his belt back and beats Volkanovski. And he that does everything for him. That takes away all the question marks. That would be, oh my God, what a storyline.
So, hold on. Let's say Max then goes out later this year, beats Topuria. First off, fighter of the year, that's set in stone. Like, I'm not even going to question.
100%.
Doesn't matter what anyone else does, outside of Pereira winning the heavyweight title. It's true, though. It's true.
Yeah, it's just like the notion of that is just wild.
Yeah. I mean, he can pretty much do whatever he wants, I would say. I'd say even after the Topuria. What the hell is that? What the hell is that, Tom?
Can you still hear it? I've closed my window.
I can't hear it now.
You can't hear it?
Can't hear it.
I can hear it, but you can't hear it. Okay.
I can't hear it.
Okay,
sorry, listeners. We're having some technical difficulties here. I don't know what Tom's neighbours are doing. Anyway, let's go back to talking about Max Holloway. That's much more interesting. Max. Should we just talk about the Gaethje fight? We haven't even talked about the fight. We've been talking for 10 minutes. Let's talk about the actual fight itself.
Well, because you said one thing, Joe. You said one thing, and that's Justin never getting into it. You called the fight, right?
Yeah.
In the preview. You called it well. Gaethje's got a beautiful jab, and when he works off it, he can do big things.
Yeah.
He refused to work off his jab.
I know.
Like,
until the fourth.
And like, we know Max's legs can be got to. We know Gaethje kicks like a mule. Yeah. And yet he didn't dive deep into that well either. So
no.
Yeah. Gaethje should have regrets.
Gaethje, by the way, has now blown his chance at the lightweight title off of this. Like,
Definitely.
he should have been next instead of Poirier.
Yeah.
I know Poirier's been announced for 302, isn't it? But
quickly on that when you mentioned it, I mean, Sarukian obviously didn't do enough.
Sarukian was apparently offered the fight. He was offered the fight backstage after Oliveira. After the Oliveira fight, they're like, "Do you want the fight at 302?" And he's like, "No, I can't do that right now," which is insane that they offered it to him on that shorter notice. But then I guess maybe October then would be a better timeline for that. Anyway, for the Abu Dhabi card.
Well, I'm sidetracking you a little bit here because I know you want to make a point, but I think Sarukian just didn't do enough, and Poirier's, I'm fine with it, Like we said, somebody's got to come in and steal the show. Yeah, I'm fine with it. Yeah. I mean, Gaethje would have been next. He's gone. He's lost his shot.
Yeah.
And Sarukian, just didn't do
enough. Oh, okay.
But we're going to talk about it.
We'll talk about it. No, I just wanted to talk about the Gaethje performance because it felt like, there's this thing with Gaethje now where he's maybe a bit more cerebral. He's not as, going straight into the fire head first. Face melting, and he's just like, I'll drag you down with me. I don't care. Like, that's not him anymore. But even if you look at him versus, like, Barbosa, where he's still hunting him down, like, but he's waiting and picking his shots a bit more. This one, it was like he was waiting for something that was just never going to happen, and then Max just proceeded to pull away from him. That spinning back kick at the end of the first, which broke his nose, and then it's like, if I'm Gaethje's corner at that point, I'm like, we can't keep fighting like this. You're going to have to go out there. You're going to have to start jabbing him. And when he started jabbing him in the fourth, I'm like, he's gone early with the jab. He's actually done it a lot earlier than he has in other fights. Max could be in some trouble here. After also being dropped in the third. But it was an odd performance from Gaethje. I mean, even like, Max, those calf kicks Max was doing, and they're bullshit calf kicks where he's just like, he's not even really trying to calf kick you. What he's doing is he's giving you a crappy calf kick so that you are like, I'm going to give him a calf kick, a proper one, so then he can take you down off of it like he did against Yair, right? But instead, Gaethje just stood there and proceeded to not really throw. And it's like, is it just Max's volume just bamboozled him because he's never fought a guy like that?
In Gaethje's defense, you kind of brushed over it. Like, Max broke his nose. And
yes.
He did that cardinal thing, where you're not supposed to blow, and he said he can't breathe through his nose, and then he did, and he got the swelling, and you could see it was bothering him. Good Lord, Joe! Like if either of us got our nose broken in that fashion, we would be crying all week. You wouldn't see me in public. I'd be so sensitive.
Yeah.
And Gaethje, doesn't necessarily get his nose broken in that fashion every fight.
No.
That was clearly impeding him. And so early in the fight, right at the end of the first, he's almost walking back to his corner and he just gets caught with that spinning back kick. There's a big moment, and I think we're brushing over it a little bit. That takes some shaking off, especially when you're supposed to be this cerebral stalking, and suddenly you can't see and your eyes are watering and you can't breathe. And then you also mentioned it before, Max's defense is elite.
Yeah.
Some of the best you're going to see. He's said many times he's the best boxer in the UFC. I think he's still rightful to put his name in that hat at a minimum. So, tough puzzle for Gaethje to unpick without what happened at the end of the first. So I think it's unfair to dump on Gaethje, and I'm sorry that it happened. He got done the way he did, face first.
Face first. Yeah,
Moment.
Max pointing to the ground. They start swinging. He points to the ground again to be like, let's go again. And then Gaethje's just swinging. And it's like, Gaethje's swinging and he's got like no hope. But Max is swinging and he's actually hitting him and landing shots. And then the right hand coming over Gaethje's left as he swings. And then sending him face first to the floor. Very rare for me to like react massively to a knockout, and it's not that I was like screaming or anything. I was eyes bugging out my head, jaw wide open, couldn't even make a noise at how blown away I was by that finish by Max.
Shocking. Like a massive moment. There was a lot of noise here. Yeah.
Oh really?
It was. Oh my god! What a moment. Yeah. I was. I'm glad there were no recordings of me out there. Because it was crazy, Joe. It was like you can't, like, it's a cliche, but you can't script that. Like, you can't.
If you did, you'd be like, what the hell? But then when it happens, you're like, oh my Christ. By the way, here's the other mad thing. One judge had it 2-2 going into the fifth. Yeah, can you believe that? 2-2 going into the fifth. I had Max winning all 4. Like, I didn't even have Gaethje. I didn't even give Gaethje the third. I'm like, yeah, he knocked him down, but then Max proceeded to still beat him up. Like,
yeah.
There was.
I was on the same line. There was a question over the third because of the knockdown, but yeah, I still had Max winning that round.
Yeah.
Amazing. Fourth was.
Yeah, it was patchy, but it wasn't like. It wasn't a clear Gaethje round for me. I felt like it was.
Obviously, that judge would have given Max the fifth.
I would hope so. I would hope so.
You never know these guys.
Gaethje, what's next? Moicano? Retirement?
Wow. I don't know. For me, guys like Dustin and Dustin and Justin, they have transcended the belt. And good for them. You definitely don't want to be fighting any of these killers up there. You just you want to fight. Stay in the keep your hat in the ring for Conor.
Yeah,
it's that
Nate,
type
if
of
he
thing,
comes
isn't
back. Masvidal if he comes back. You know, I know Nate and
think
Masvidal's got that boxing match. Like maybe they'd come back to MMA.
I mean, there's no route for Gaethje going up. You know, I just don't think he's quite got the size.
Oh, what No, he's too small for 170.
Yeah,
he's a 155
lightweight. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not really feeling any options from him.
Not just the obligatory Dan Hooker.
I wouldn't say no.
Come on.
I would not say no to that. Dan Hooker, Gaethje. Oh my days. Yeah. Holloway, Topuria. I think that's the route to go. Yeah. I think that's the route to go. Right. You've already mentioned your feelings on this fight. Arman Tsarukyan defeats Charles Oliveira by split decision. First off, did you have it for Tsarukyan?
Oh, Joe, be serious.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Okay, good. Yeah, it was an odd one. I was hoping for a bit more from Tsarukyan. It was interesting seeing that grappling, whereby Tsarukyan was just like willing to dive in there, and it's not even in the sense that he had a fear of Oliveira's attacks, because he definitely was cautious around some of that. But it was more like he was confident in his first movements being enough to pin Oliveira on the ground. I've got to say also, Tsarukyan, I thought he was like a second away from tapping out as well in that first round. So incredible toughness to get out of that guillotine.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I don't want to see anyone pulling guillotines. I don't care if you're Charles Oliveira. Like, I don't want to see anybody pulling guillotines against people that were born in the immediate Caucasus region, Joe.
Right. Yeah.
Look, it works like this: if you can draw, like, let's say, 1,000-kilometer sphere around Dagestan,
yeah,
you don't pull guillotines on those fellas. They cannot be guillotined. I don't know if it's the beard or what it is, but yeah, I never thought so. Like, it surprised me how close Charles got, even though Charles has got one of the best guillotines in the game. You know, I'm thinking Charles Oliveira or Brian Ortega.
Yeah,
I don't know who has a better guillotine than those two, and yet I just never quite saw it happening for him. Ultimately, you picked Charles. We should say that.
I did,
and I was very dismissive of that pick. I thought it was an obvious Tsarukyan win, and so I was overall impressed with Charles. Did the fight go down how you expected it to?
I was actually surprised with how much grappling there was. I know that sounds odd considering the two guys involved, but I was surprised actually with Charles willing to accept positions onto his back as much as he did. And I know he's known for being good off of his back and engaging you and making things difficult, but I was surprised with how much he sort of lent on that. And even that Darce choke he put in on the third, where Tsarukyan did the clever thing of just flopping to the mat, because the whole thing with jiu-jitsu is if you have space, like if you allow them space, they've got space to move into, then crank up the pressure on the chokes. So Tsarukyan just belly flopping to the ground, it looks weird, but there's no pressure then. And Charles knows that. So then why doesn't Charles just use that to pivot off and spin onto a mount or to get the back from there? It was odd. There was Charles's devotion to the choke that he was chasing, and I was just
Well, hold up. I gotta push back a little bit here, because the reason I was so down on Arman's performance is that you cannot, morally, you don't emerge as the winner when you spent the last 30 seconds face down on the mat,
right,
with the other guy holding you in a choke, and you're just waiting for the bell. Like, you haven't won that fight. You don't walk away with your head held high. Like, oh, you like now you know, like hoorah, like it's come on,
yeah.
So like that takes it doesn't matter what happened in the rounds preceding. Like that takes any wind out of your victory if you lose the final round, and you lose it, or like, I'm not saying you necessarily did lose the final round, but those last minute or so, So it's disappointing because it should have been 5 rounds. They said it in the commentary booth. We know it. Like, at the top tier of these divisions, it's just you're doing them a disservice. Charles deserves the chance to work his way into that fight, and it's still a live fight, isn't it? Let's be real. I don't know who wins it if it goes to 5 rounds. I don't know that.
Oof, I don't know either. I really, really do not know. Yeah, I think it's just because Charles carries that knockout threat, doesn't he? That I feel that at rounds 4 or 5, you just have no idea which way it would go. What was I going to say? That's also what you're saying about there with like Sarukian like just lying down for those 30 seconds at the end because the choke's not in and he feels like he's won that round. That also goes to something that I don't know. There was a couple of things about this fight that maybe would make me want to change some of the rules of MMA. Is first off that up kick. I'm sorry, man. How is that not legal? Like, come on, son. Yeah. Like, what's the fact he's got one knee down have to do with anything?
Insane. Yeah,
it's ridiculous. Knees to a grounded opponent needs to be a thing as well. Give me the 12-6 elbows. I don't need the soccer kick, as they call it, from the Pride days. I don't need that. You know, it's a bit of a wince inducer. I know you're not a fan. I'm okay with it personally. But, like, I feel like now, and also with the scoring of rounds, this is a classic fight of, if you scored the fight overall, who would you have given this fight to? Like, for me personally, I think you could make an argument for Charles. It's just that what he did was in such small bursts, like from rounds 2, where he had the arm triangle, you had the triangle with the arm in. He had that in, and it's like, would you have given him a bit for that with the dance as well? But because Sarukian had kind of gamed the 4 minutes before that, you kind of have to give him the rounds. I don't know, like if you think about who had the bigger moments, maybe it was Charles, but who actually won more minutes.
I hear what you're saying there, Joe. There has been a persistent question about how you score submission attempts. Yes. Because a lot of these submission attempts, you end up giving up position, you know, and then you will spend more time in a defensive position as a result of it, even though you're not necessarily taking damage or under threat of submission yourself, you know. So you could be like 90% of the way there, but it doesn't work out, and then you end up spending more time on the bottom, and the other guy wins the round because of it, even though you were potentially seconds away from finishing the fight. So you're penalised for really going for submissions, effectively.
Absolutely. Well, that's why they don't score takedowns anymore. They say the takedown itself is the reward. And it's like, well, I guess, but I don't know. It's kind of a weird one for me. This is a much larger debate that don't really have the time to get into right now. Maybe if we ever do a fight night preview or review, we can actually go into that into greater detail, although don't hold your breath for that, listeners. Right, let's talk about Bo Nickel, Cody Brundage. This felt very out of place, didn't it? Even with the prelims, this felt really out of place. Bo Nickel shouldn't be in the UFC. I'm just going to say that.
Oh my god!
Yeah, he's too green. He's too green, I think. I get what the UFC's doing with him. Of like, we're gonna have this guy come in after like 2 or 3 fights, and we're gonna like build him up, and then he's gonna become a champion. He'll be like, we'll actually have a homegrown guy rather than a guy who comes in later in his career after time on the regional scene or in a different promotion. I get the appeal of that. It's just that like the little things that those guys learn in regionals or in other promotions, they've already got them, that Nickel's having to learn on the job in a way. And it's like, yeah, the wrestling's really impressive, and it is really impressive. But like, yeah, the striking defense isn't that great, and just even when he gets like Brundage to the ground, like how he slips into mount isn't that slick, or you know, it's just kind of not quite there. I mean, I'll give Cody Brundage some credit. He did the thing that I thought he should have done, which is, I'm just going to hit him with stuff and see what happens. And then when we're on the ground, I'm going to grab 2 hands on 1 arm. He's not going to be able to sub me, and I'm going to pull faces at the crowd. Like, that was perfect vet sort of display.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that obviously frustrated Bo, and I think that's part of why Bo was so down on himself, because Brundage like neutralized him in that position. As I was in, like, you know, Bo had top control and definitely was, you know, you have to score it for him. But
of course, yeah.
That kind of moral victory.
Yes.
Went to Brundage. I can't say I agree with you. I gotta push back, because it's very interesting, you know, this whole climate around Bo. What is the man supposed to do? What is he supposed to do? He's finished another guy.
Yeah.
Never was close. We're kind of criticizing him for just having total top control and being under no threat of submission at any point. You know, he dominated Cody, really. He's so far ahead of him that he can kind of take the fight on any terms that he wants to. You know, he can make mistakes, and ultimately, like if it's getting a little bit dicey, then he just ragdolls him and takes his back. You know, that is Bo's lead, and yet we're coming out. He's been negative on himself, and there are men such as yourself saying he shouldn't even be in the UFC. I'm saying let the guy grow. Stop, don't you know, you're going to turn people against him when you put him up there in place of legends who have paid their price. Yeah, I guess the fact he's in the UFC, though, like, it does bring about this thing, like, you've got to push him forwards. And next he's going to be, probably, fighting for a guy in the rankings.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, unless
he himself said, he wasn't calling for that himself, though. Let's be clear.
I think he's acutely aware of his placement. You know, he's kind of, the thing is he's kind of in a similar realm to someone like Raul Rosas Jr. in a way of, like, really green guy coming into sport. It's just that Nickel had this whole other career and whole other athletic career where he was incredibly successful, and because of that he's got a name off of it, whereas someone like Rosas Jr. is just, you know, this really exciting teenager they bring into the company, and it's rare for them to do that sort of thing. And I don't know, it's just a bit of a weird one. I think my expectations for someone like Rosas Jr. are a lot lower, and so when he does well, I'm impressed. Whereas Bo, because of that other build-up that they've given him, means that when he does have performances like this against Brundage, I'm not that impressed, to be honest. You know, I guess this is also the era that we're in, though, where, you know, guys like Nickel, who 15 years ago, if they came into the company, you know, like Cain Velasquez. Cain Velasquez was 2-0 when he joined the UFC, and then he became champion when he was had his 9th professional fight, 9-0. Bo Nickel's not in that generation anymore. If he'd come through at that time, I'd almost be at this point where, like, give him the equivalent of the number 5 guy, because he probably would look even more dominant. But because of how the skill sets work, you know, it's not so easy for him just to ragdoll someone, ground and pound him, and choke him out. So maybe, but
ultimately, that's what he did, though.
But it was, yeah, okay. Ultimately, that's what he did. It's just how he did it, isn't it? Like, were you impressed by that performance?
I mean, he dominated him, Joe. Come on.
Yeah.
There was no point in that fight where I was like, oh, Brundage is working. He's fallen into Brundage's trap. You know, like, come on. There was no element. There was just a question of when. And Brundage is beating guys in the UFC. You know, like,
yeah,
he's obviously never going to win a belt, but he's not.
No.
He's not some no mark off the street. So yeah, I think the only way I can agree with you is if you say that it's not enough now to Bo to keep padding out his record with unranked guys. If you're saying, like, because he's already got these 3 wins in the UFC, 2 on the Contender Series, then that means, all right, we've got to start pushing him further forwards, and he ends up fighting a guy he's clearly not ready for. We haven't seen that yet, and I think it might be, it might be some time until that moment comes. Like, if you look at lower guys lower placed in the rankings at middleweight,
yeah,
I want you to say, like, do you really give Bo no chance against Paul Craig?
Of course not. I would favour Bo to beat Paul Craig. This is the thing, I'd favour him to beat these guys, but it's like, if I'm looking at him now, I'm like, his skills aren't refined enough for him to beat these guys in a way that he should be. Like, Bo Nickel should go out there, dump Paul Craig down on the ground, stand over him, and beat him into the centre of the earth. Like, that's what should be happening.
He won't need to do that, because Paul Craig will pull guard and put himself in that position.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, he called out Fluffy Hernandez. I was intrigued by that, because I think Fluffy's
that's an interesting one.
He's a handful. That's an interesting fight. Very interesting fight. I like Fluffy. He sat at 12 as well, so you know,
yeah,
like,
I'd be down for it.
Yeah. All right.
Roll him out. I think they'll roll him out for the McGregor Chandler card, probably against someone like Hernandez or Paul Craig. Like, that'd be perfect. I mean, the Paul Craig one is the one I want to see the most, because it'll be the funniest.
If he was fighting Hernandez on this card, right, opening the card, I don't think he would get the backlash.
No, I agree. Yeah.
So what's the man supposed to do? You know, he crushed his can.
No, yeah, we're giving this way too much time.
The more pertinent question: Cody Brundage, what's next?
I don't know. Is like the local construction site? Are they taking people on? Like,
They always need good people, strong lads. All right, there you
strong
go.
as an ox. Prelims.
Joe,
Should we go straight?
that's the main card. That's the main card. And now, any more bonuses going out for you there? Any more?
Performance goes to Max.
Yeah.
Performance has to go to Max.
Yeah.
And
Fight of the night.
Well, fight of the night. I'm going to give that now to Prohazka Rakic as my fight of the night. I'm not.
Because
I don't want to double up. I don't want to double up any sort of awards.
No, I thought honestly, good for you, Max. Like I hadn't even thought about that when he said it after the, and I was like, well, that is a damn good performance, and what a great knockout. So and he wished that into existence. So congratulations on your 600k, Max. Because yeah,
that should be the standard though. I feel like 300k should be the standard for a bonus now.
Sure.
Honestly, if you saw these performances on this card, right? And let's say fight nights you get 100 grand bonus, but for pay-per-views, put the bonus at 300k. These guys are going to go out there and absolutely want to kill each other for that.
You think?
You saw that?
We certainly saw that. Yeah. So you think that was something that made this so special? Was actually the increasing the bonus?
Yes, absolutely. Like,
I mean, Jay, you're falling into Dana's trap here. You know that.
I know.
I know. You're saying like you keep them hungry, and then you dangle a big old meaty scrap and watch those boys go. That's what you're saying.
A little bit. But look, after that fighter case.
So wait. So appearance money, 5k. All right. 100k bonus. Yeah. 5k per tooth.
Yeah, and a Venom voucher and some old Reebok socks they had from the last fight kit deal. No, I mean, look, after that fighter pay, the Kung Lee lawsuit was kind of thrown out. Well, not thrown out. They settled, and you saw how much fight was getting paid, and you see how sensitive they are about their pay and whatever else. I'm like, listen, lads, if you want to sign up for that, that's fine. I vehemently disagree, and I think you're all worth a hell of a lot more. If you don't want to sort out a union, that's fine. I get it. But at that point, my sympathies have to end for you, and if you don't want to do that, that's fine.
Wow, what an arc. What an arc, Joe.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry,
Dana White. He lives among us. He walks among us. I'm blown away here, Joe.
I feel bad for these guys. They should be earning a hell of a lot more money. They should be earning so much more money. So much more money. They're all
if they were earning so much more money, Joe.
But could
you motivate them with performance bonuses?
Yes, 300 grand performance bonus. Max just earned over $500,000 just in performance bonuses.
Worth every penny as well.
Every penny.
I'm not gonna wade into this debate. I want the guys to get paid. I do feel what's happened in other sports. I've put my voice on record saying I don't like the way that boxing has gone. I don't like multiple, organizations issuing belts.
Yeah.
And I don't like fighters picking their fights. You need a strong, centralized organization. Now, I don't mean I want the guys to go hungry. These are athletes and really special people with special skills.
Absolutely.
They should all be very comfortable and not have to worry about money between camps and paying their coaches and everything that goes with it. They should be professional fighters and safe in the knowledge that they will be. They should have their healthcare taken care of for life.
Absolutely.
For life.
Absolutely.
But do I need to see every guy with 5 Ferraris and Floyd Mayweather? I think that would be a shame. That'd be a shame.
I mean, look, you're seeing it now in boxing where the Saudis have got involved and they've managed to get the heavyweight division moving again because they're just paying the guys the money that they want and that they are kind of owed in a way when it comes to sort of heavyweight boxing. But you see actually how much they get paid. It's like, is Volkanovski not worth 5-6 million a fight? Like, that guy is worth 5-6 million a fight. Pereira is worth 5-6 million a fight. I'm not asking for these guys to get the 50 million Floyd Mayweather deals or 100 million Floyd Mayweather deals. Those are 1 in a million. I mean, in a way, Conor is almost the most underpaid fighter in the history of the UFC because of how much he drew for them. Anyway, we're going down a road that is well trod. Let's talk about Prohazka Rakic. For the love of God, what a performance this was from Prohazka of just hit me. I don't care. He hit him. Rakic hit him with that jab, pump fake, and he came through with the right elbow, cracked Prohajka. Prohajka stood there for like half a second and then just proceeded to keep walking forward. Like, incredible. And it was a classic example of Prohajka going like, you just hit me and you're going to tire out and then I'll grab you. And then Prohajka, whenever he like really uncorked on him, sent Rakic flying. Hilarious finish where he just shoved him to the ground. More people need to bring in shoving, by the way. Max, a great shover, one of the best shovers going in the game. Bring in the shove. That's what I'm saying. Prohajka Rakic,
But
what do you think?
You got to clap him with some big shots before you get the shoving, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing, because Rakic was piecing him up, just taking him apart in that first round. Nice leg kicks, definitely a game plan you're going to see repeated against Yuri. Because like you force him into a place where he has to take ungodly risks. Now the problem is, you also are at extreme risk when he does that.
Yeah.
So you best be ready. You best have the tightest shell and the greatest head movement, because Yuri's coming to take your soul. But if you kick his legs, then you put him in a place where he has to fight one way. Really great, nice fundamentals from Rakic. But ultimately, Joe, I was down on the boy coming into this fight, and you couldn't understand why. And he revealed it here because he folded. He folded once that heat got turned up. We got a glimpse of it in the first round.
Yeah.
All right. Yuri spent the whole round getting beaten up and then just started wading forwards. And Rakic did not like that pressure.
No.
He just couldn't handle it. Couldn't stand there with Yuri. And wow, it was amazing. Yuri blew him away.
Yeah.
Blew him away.
He really did.
Sensational.
And he was kind of mad as well because like he rocks him really badly at the end of the first. And Rakic kind of doesn't let him off the hook per se, but Yuri's kind of like just waiting. And then he just like uncorks like 5-6 shot combo where you see Rakic's eyes start to go, goggly, and you're like, oh, he's done. He's sort of like flailing around the cage, and then gets on top of him and finishes him. It was just a very. Do you know what? It was a really weird style matchup of like nice technical fundamentals versus a guy just winging weird shots, and it's like even like. If you see them hitting the heavy bag, like there's a great video of like Rakic training with his coach and his really sharp technique, and then Yuri's just like throwing whatever weird shots he wants, no real rhyme or reason, terrible open technique, but it works for him. It absolutely works.
I mean, like the world needs more Yuri Prohajka, and I'm very glad we're going to get it. Like I don't want everyone to fit in a box, and Rakic is. He's trapped in that box.
He's in a box. He's in a box. He's in that nice IKEA box.
And Yuri like it's that fighting within yourself and just fighting with emotion and it's very special, Yuri. So a great win. I worried for him. Come on, his legs were getting chopped. We saw what happened against Pereira, but he comes through again. Where does that put us? What do you do with Yuri next?
You either go with Ankalaev.
No, that's vetoed. Veto.
Oh yeah, sorry. Ankalaev's fighting Yan. Need to sort that out. I don't know. Have Yuri wait for Pereira. I'd watch that again. Or Khalil. That could be a hilarious beatdown.
Yes, yeah, and I suspect it would be. There's not big names there. It's
Light heavyweight's a terrible division. It's a terrible division.
Joe, I'm looking 10 to 15. I'm looking at Anthony Smith.
He's still
Ryan
ranked.
Spann.
Oh my
Joe,
God.
this is word for word. I'm not playing games with you. Anthony Smith at 10, Ryan Spann at 11, Alonso Menafield at 12.
My boy.
And Dom Reyes tipping out at 14.
No, he's still not ranked. Oh my God.
Damning.
Oh my
Damning.
God.
And then you got journeymen like Krylov and Uzdemir in the top 10. So it's grim. It's grim.
Yeah, have Yuri wait for Pereira. I just have him do that. Right. What was next on this? Was it Aljamain Sterling?
Yes.
Yeah, Aljamain Sterling. I know people don't want to hear this. I was quite impressed. by this performance by Aljamain. Like, he translates to featherweight, and he was kind of just having his way with Keita. Like, this wasn't much pushback from Keita. He didn't look tired, Sterling. He looked full. He looked strong. I think he could be a bit of an issue for these guys at featherweight, and more of this, please. More of this of Aljamain at featherweight. Just needs some ground and pound, honestly. Just a bit of ground and pound, and he'd be so much better.
Yeah.
Because
honestly, you nailed it.
I know it's not quite. These guys, when Aljamain's on them, they look so exhausted. They're like, can't get him off. Like, the squeeze must be horrible. Like, even like on the body lock, the squeeze must be like ungodly. And, it's not like Khabib, where like Khabib would flow through positions and you would be like, this guy's almost like an octopus. It's like Aljamain's almost like a vice, isn't he? Where it's just like you're trying to like get your hand out. And it's just like, I can't get this guy off of me. I think he's a really interesting problem at featherweight, and honestly, a couple more wins.
What? Why? What? Well, my only question. I really like that breakdown, Joe, and I am wholeheartedly agree with you. That's the one thing that I've got a question though. A couple more wins. What are we saying here? This man was actually like he had defenses at bantamweight.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Marab, then he'd still be there, and he'd still be a problem. He's gone up. He's just squished a ranked guy. Yeah, like squished him. Like you said, Keita had nothing. It was just a question of like, okay, Aljamain, are you going to finish him? And, and then, of course, he does... could have obliged, perhaps, but I don't need to see 2 more rounds of that fight. God damn.
Oh, I will also give Sterling some credit for hitting a Tiger Driver 91 on Keita in the third. Just picking him up and dumping him on his head. That was dope. More of that.
Yeah, that was another one for our kind of judging and rules corner. Like power bombs, Joe. Are they back?
I'm very pro. I'm obviously very pro the power bomb.
Yeah, I mean, if you can pick a man off his feet, then you should. But you're not allowed to drop people on their head deliberately? Am I not mistaken?
I believe so. I believe you're not mistaken. But that's kind of a weird grey area, though, isn't it? Because it's not like he did a pile driver on him, and like the fact that he tucked his knees underneath meant that he didn't trap the head. So Keita was able to move, and he did sort of land on his shoulder more than anything. Anyway, go on.
Well, let's look at it this way, Joe. After that win, I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna name some fighters, and I want to say after that win should Aljo be ranked higher or lower than them?
Okay.
You don't need to look at the rankings. I'm gonna come in and give it to you. Bryce Mitchell.
Oh, yeah, easily above.
Yeah. Josh Emmett.
Yeah.
So Arnold Allen.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we might have found our line because the next man is Movsar Evloev.
No, I think Aljo should be 5.
Yeah, Evloev is at 5 at the moment. Yeah. I mean, I think like if you take those names away, where does Aljo sit? Former bantamweight champ. Yeah, I'm sorry. You still got Yair and Brian Ortega climbing up.
Why is Yair? Hold on.
Why
is Yair there?
I don't know. I deliberately didn't say him.
Yair should be below Emmett. Like if by my
but he beat him. He beat him, Joe. He beat him.
Yeah, but Emmett just clapped Mitchell, and Yair got schooled by Ortega. A one-footed Brian Ortega. I'm sorry, that is not acceptable. That is not acceptable.
Like the more egregious thing is how have you got Yair Rodriguez ahead of Movsar Evloev? Like, how is that?
That's ludicrous.
Is that possible? It's crazy.
Because when I was putting it in my head, I'm like, wait, hold on, who would be ahead of Movsar? Okay, maybe Ortega. Didn't realize Yair was there as well. Aljo should be ahead of Yair.
I'm with you. We're in the same place. Like Aljo, you want to see him somewhere in the top 5. Maybe one more win, and then call him for the belt.
Yeah,
not a couple. One more win. You put him in there against Brian Ortega, or let's say Volkanovski doesn't get the immediate rematch with Topuria. He wants to stay busy. Like Sterling had voiced that
Don't go
fight.
near that. Don't go near that now.
That's a banana skin. It's a banana skin.
I mean, if you're Sterling,
fun,
call for it. Call for
Yeah.
it. Former bantamweight champ, former featherweight champ. That's a brilliant matchup.
I take that route. All respect, because he spoke about how good Volk is, and just be like, as a tribute to you, I think I've earned. I like that. Stay busy.
Yeah.
And then Volk he's walking into a a room full of banana skins if he takes that fight.
Ooh.
So, yeah, good for you, Aljo. And Keita, man, life is hard. Life is hard. It's long. It sucks sometimes.
A lot of injuries. Just a lot of injuries. Just
530 days, they were saying, come back to get squished by a bantamweight.
Yeah, it was just hard to get that guy off of him. A guy who's moving up, motivated, got a point to prove after that title defeat, going like, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to fight a striker, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to implement my game on him to the point where he's not able to get anything off on me. That was exactly the fight and performance Sterling needed.
Last comment on that fight. Aljo at featherweight looked even better than Max at lightweight, and I just mean the frame on him. Mean the frame. Like,
it looked
Aljo's
natural,
massive. Yeah, yes, he was massive.
Do you remember when
he was massive, Joe?
His
legs, massive.
Do you remember when Chiesa moved up to welterweight, and you were like, "This guy is ginormous. Like, what is he doing at welterweight?" And it's like, obviously, it didn't work out for Chiesa in the same way at welterweight, but like, you still looked at him.
It started off. Or you've got the other example would be, that. So the name escapes me right now. The Brazilian fella who's just gone up to middleweight, having been at welterweight. The guy who does the
Michel Pereira.
Yeah,
Michel.
And he's just like, oh my god, this guy's a light heavyweight. He's huge.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, even Poatan. Poatan is another example.
He is another huge person, Joe.
Yeah,
Kayla Harrison.
Jesus Christ. I mean, I got to give her credit first off for making weight, winning an Olympic gold medal at 178 pounds, and then keep going down and down in weight through her MMA career, and then just mushes Holly Holm into the ground. And it was like, I mean, first off, Holly Holm, what on earth was that in terms of a performance? Going into a clinch game against a judoka, 2 gold medal judoka, 2. Do you know how good you are? Oh my days. And then Harrison just I texted you going like, Harrison's a monster. Like, I'd seen her in PFL, and she was fighting women who were in the same like weight class as her, like 145, 150. She fought 155 in PFL, and like she was facing like big women like who were like monstrous, and she was throwing them around. And like she goes down to 135. They're gonna be chucked around even more. They've got no chance against this woman. If she grabs them, they have not got a hope in hell of beating her. Give her the title shot now. What we do?
Well, this is it. I got one question really about this fight.
Yeah.
Apart from Amanda Nunes, who do you want to see Kayla Harrison fight? Like, as in, you have to watch all of it.
Juliana Pena. Because I just think that has meme potential there. That has meme potential. Yeah. I'd watch her.
You're right.
I'd watch her fight any of them because they're not going to be long fights. Like, she's just going to walk through that whole division. Nunes is going to have to come back. They're going to have to give her like a decent. And there's a narrative there.
That's fun.
I would love that. Or Cyborg. Bring back Cyborg. Come on, Dana, do us one fight deal.
Dana was asked about this. Cyborg went out there calling for it, of course, after the fight, and Dana completely no soul. It wasn't.
What?
Wasn't interest.
Dana, you're no fun. He's no fun.
He referenced Wanderlei Silva in his dismissal.
Oh, terrible. Speaking of sick, Diego Lopez absolutely mushed Sadiq Youssef. Oh, by the way, I'm going to give... actually, no, I won't do that. Diego Lopez.
You're about to give submission of the night to Kayla Harrison? Is that what we were about to do?
No, I'm going to take that back. I'm taking it back. I just remembered one.
All right.
Sadiq Youssef, poor lad, he just got absolutely mashed by Diego Lopez. Man with 3 haircuts. I mean, is there anything more embarrassing than that? And then you actually watch Diego Lopez. I mean, Dana is clearly in love with this man. He wants to give him a title shot tomorrow, doesn't it?
I love it. I
love it as well.
Dream, believe, and make it happen. This guy, my God, he is everything I need in the world right now. Really, like just his energy is so like curious, confusing,
I've never been that happy about anything.
Fight. Yeah, well, yeah. The darkness follows me, but he gets all that darkness out in his hairstyle, and the rest is just joy and bliss. He absolutely smoked Yusuf, and I think
who's
that's
a good
fantastic.
fighter.
He's a ranked fighter, 6-2 in the UFC. Sadiq Yusuf, he's a handful, and this dude, I don't even know where he came from, Joe. Like, correct me if I'm wrong here, all right? Correct me if I'm wrong, because I may well be. Movsar Evloev, undefeated in the UFC, crushing all comers, can't find a matchup for him. They start asking for names outside the stadium. Someone mentioned this Brazilian guy who will only speak Spanish, funny haircut. He'll come in, and that's him. And now we've got a contender on our hands. Am I missing something? Why was he fighting before?
He was... Well, the thing with Lopez is that I think Evloev, he was supposed to face Ortega or Topuria. It was supposed to be one of those two, and then they dropped out. And then Lopez came up on 10 days' notice. And the thing is, Lopez, I think he'd been sort of circling the UFC, but it didn't quite happen for him.
Joe, but the man had been fighting in Lux Fight League. What is that? Yeah. It's in Mexico. Like what? Let me just name some of his promotions here. Yeah. Right? You got Lux Fight League. Yeah. And then Jazalji Fighting League 17.
Right. Has he got Jungle Fight in there? Is he fought in that one? That's a classic.
I'm seeing Rock. I mean, by 2018, we're going to Rock Fighting League 2, and then Extreme Fighters Latino 38.
Jesus Christ!
I love this man, Joe.
The thing is,
and then he went to Russia.
Yes,
he was in Grozny. He was in Chechnya in 2018 as well.
Yeah.
None of these fellas he's fighting have got Wikipedia pages.
Lopez, he's the jiu-jitsu coach of he was the jiu-jitsu coach of Brandon Moreno. He was the jiu-jitsu coach of I forgot the flyweight champion's name, Alexa Grasso. So he was a sort of known commodity that way. So he's the one who trained Grasso to snatch the choke on Shevchenko. So that's kind of where he kind of made his name that way, of being like this really good, fun action fighter, but he's actually a very good coach as well. But this guy, I mean, honestly, strap all rockets to this dude. Tell him to have an even weirder haircut if he can. If he can make it multicolored, I would love that even more.
Each layer.
Yeah. Each layer of the fringe.
Each haircut.
Yeah. Can we get some dreads in there, just like in the middle bit, like between the sweep, the skin fade, and the mullet? Like, that would be brilliant. Also, give me Diego Lopez versus whoever, and I'm signing up for it. The Evloev rematch is the one I would like the most.
I want him to keep winning.
Ooh.
So, yeah. And I don't know if he beats Evloev. Yeah, I don't know. He's just beaten Sadiq Yusuf at 13.
Yeah. Just as long as he's fighting in front of a crowd, that's the most important thing to me.
Absolutely, yeah. He needs that. He soaks in that energy for sure. I mean, how high do we want to go? Are we talking that top 5? We just mentioned Aljo and the rest of the division there. Are we looking in that bracket, or we want one fight before that? We want something like Keita, Chikadze, Emmett, right? Emmett Mitchell. I think he smokes Josh Emmett. I can't see any avenue for Emmett. I mean, maybe in the chaos he eats a huge hook, maybe, because he is wild. Diego Lewis is absolutely wild. That knockout of Pat Sabatini, he does like a standing hammer fist, jumping standing hammer fist in the middle of exchanging with him.
Madness. Right, what else have we got in this card?
But no knockout of the night for that short uppercut. You've given that out.
I gave it to Pereira. Is that your
no
one?
Bonus? I just a cheeky little uppercut in that exchange twice. The same little right hook, just got it up in there. I thought it was very nice. I love this man.
I want
to give you one passing stat.
Okay.
Right. I'm going to give you his UFC record here, Joe. 3.22 significant strikes landed per minute.
Right.
4.73 absorbed. 22 finishes in 24 fights. I mean, this man is violence. I think he can fight for the BMF belt in the future.
Could do. It could do. I do like the idea of him just like continually just making his name off of the shortest fights possible. Like outside of that Evloev one, I mean, all of his other fights are sub 3 minutes. Like it's not even. They're not even.
And that
competitive.
Evloev one was a great fight. My God.
Yeah.
Joe, we're dipping down next. Early prelims. All right.
Yeah.
Something I know you're going to be sad about. Jalen Turner succumbs to big money Moicano.
What's this thing
Knocks
with me
him
and
out.
Jalen Turner? What's this thing with me and Jalen Turner? Is there a claim that I'm a huge Jalen Turner fan?
Yeah. I think that's a
Okay.
reasonable claim. Yeah, you've been hot on him.
I think he's all right. I think he's a welterweight. I'll say that much. I don't think he should be fighting at this weight class. But Money Moicano... I mean, he hurt Moicano immediately. Like, you could see Moicano was not happy. And then...
That's his fighting style, Joe.
I know. But Money Moicano, man, just give me him against... He's like Diego Lopez, where I'm like... This guy is, like, willing just to, like, find any way to win. But any way to finish as well. Love it. And then that promo... Talking about the Austrian School of Economics. I know that's more your cup of tea, that sort of discussion and debate. What sort of school? What's he on about? Is he like some... Is this some weird fringe right-wing thing that he's going into?
Definitely, if Moicano's involved. And like Brazilian MMA fighters, Joe.
Fair enough. All right, that's enough said. What do you want next for Moicano? Pimlet?
Himmler?
Yeah. Give him a name. Give him some money.
Pimlet, I think that's a great, absolutely fantastic call-out. Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I mean, if Pimlet's to be taken seriously in London, it's a willing opponent, and Moicano's got some flaws.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
got some flaws. Not as many as
Definitely.
Paddy, but
No, I'm very much into that. Right, what else have we got? Jessica Andrade defeats Marina Rodriguez by split decision. I mean, outside of the Sterling... actually, the Sterling one was interesting in some ways. This didn't really do much for me. Didn't move me in any way in particular. It was just interesting to see, like, Andrade kind of fight within herself, I thought. Like, I just didn't... I don't know, I wasn't that impressed by her, and Rodriguez continues just to fall by the wayside in this division. Both of them, I just felt like, yeah, not of the level.
you know what? The most interesting thing I found about this fight
Yep.
is that Nate Diaz has a female form, and it is Marina Rodriguez. Oh my word, they're the same person.
Yeah.
Their fighting style is identical. Like even their build, the
long
outfits they
torso.
wear. Yeah, like that. Yeah, the weird like hunched over style. Like they're actually really big, but they look, and then also they're getting even the 1-2 down the pipe. And there was even a slapping motion from Rodriguez. I couldn't believe it. She's been watching way too much of Nate. Maybe doesn't quite have the charisma to pull it off.
No.
I don't know how you can watch this fight and dump on Andrade. Like, she is fighting such big natural barriers. Like, she's winning every day, Joe.
You're right. No, I take that back. That was unfair of me. What else we got next? Jim Miller finally did it. UFC 300. 100, 200, 300. What a beast. But that fight should have been stopped. Like, Bobby Green, like, he kind of finished him, really, didn't he? Like,
he whooped him.
It was too much.
He whooped in a fashion that, he was always going to do.
Yeah, just
Because Jim is 43 years old, and Bobby Green
Yeah.
is as fast as he was when he was 20.
Yeah, that's it, really. That's it. And then my submission of the night, Tom, goes to Davison Figueiredo over Cody Garbrandt. Davison had some issues in the first round with him, but once he started to wrestle Garbrandt, you could see quite the skill gap. But also, Davison's strength really does translate up to bantamweight. He was kind of just pulling Garbrandt all over the place and shoving him into position, and had no real problems, I felt like, with Garbrandt once it got on the mat. And I got to say, respect for Davison to be like, this is path of least resistance. This is what I'm going to engage in. And he set up that... first off, he went for the head and arm choke, and that was coming in from the takedown. You could see him slipping the right arm up. But then the back take into the RNC, super slick from Davison. Very impressive. And, I want to see Davison. Give me him versus Piotr Jan. That's the fight I would like the most.
Okay, all right, that's a good call for that fight. I mean, big parallels between Davison and Aljamain, I feel, in going up a division. And whilst Davison needed to fight a top 5 guy now, and then he would be assured of calling out for a belt, he had a good debut against Rob Font. That was your number 9 man. If this had been against Petr Yan and he had put in that performance, he's up for the belt next. But he took a sidestep and went for Cody Garbrandt, kind of like... what's the equivalent for that for Aljamain? Like, he's going to fight...
Alex Caceres.
Yeah, someone but with a bit of legacy, like someone non-relevant. Maybe Jose Aldo. Maybe
Aldo's back, isn't he?
That's what I'm saying. If Aljo beat Aldo at 38 when he's come out of retirement, like I don't think you can call for a belt. It's just all right. We give a little bit more credit to Aldo because he hasn't fallen as far as Cody. All I'm saying is that Cody shouldn't have been in this fight. He shouldn't have been in this fight. I credit him. I didn't think he looked that bad. He is a name, but he obliged. He took the call, and they've tried to build him back up. They gave him some absolute gimmies, like Chris Weidman, and then you're just going to have him fight Davison Figueiredo, who's a killer.
He was always going to get caught out once he.
No doubt.
Fought like a good dude.
You praised Davison. I want to praise Cody because he didn't look that bad.
He's got it back on track.
Yeah,
he's got it back on track, and I respect him for that. I really do. Considering how most of those guys go, you put in that performance and you get murked by your long-term rival. You're talking all that crap, you come up short, and then you get like blown away by Munoz, and then you have the, other terrible finishes of him.
Like, look at the
total
path
beat
of
down by
Marlon
Font. Yeah, exactly. He could have gone down that road.
Renato Barral, Henan Barral.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing is now, Garbrandt, I feel like he could still be a bit of a handful for some of these ranked dudes, but he's never going to be a top-ranked guy.
Yeah, and Davison is. Like, come on.
He is. He is. Davison should be, like, number 5.
Yeah, like, I think your matchmaking there against Yan makes sense.
Yeah. What about this? Oh, Sandhagen. Let's go. Sandhagen, Davison. Oh, that could be a good one. That could be a good one.
Legitimate fight. I'm picking Cody Sandhagen to win that.
Yeah, I think I will as well. Listeners, we've gone extra long on this because this card really did deserve it. What a card that was, Tom. Real pleasure to watch that. And you regain the title, the predictions title. 7 points to... Was it 7? 7 points?
I'll take it. I'd have to top them up, Joe. I obviously, once I knew I got it in the bag, the rest is just a number. Yep.
Yeah.
Gravity, the heat of the sun.
Yeah.
Tom, Pete and Joe at the UFC predictions. Here we are.
Fair play, Tom. Fair play. Anyway, listeners, thank you so much for joining us.
I gotta say, that's despite dropping the ball in one of the biggest drops of the ball in picking Jamahal Hill.
I mean, I shouldn't. If I just picked Sarukian. Oh, well. Anyway, listeners, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back. Wait, what's the next card? Let's look at this Fight Night card. What's the next Fight Night card, Tom?
It's 301.
Nicolau Perez.
Ahead of us.
Yeah, we'll be back May 4th.
I see no Fight Night cards, Joe. Like, I want to stay in love with the sport, and evenings like this Saturday, they're powerful experiences for me. Don't talk to me about some Fight Night nonsense, because that is killing our passion for the sport.
Fair enough, and it really did for me quite recently. But 301, Pantoja versus Urseg. I'm sorry, man, I'm hyped. I love that fight. Jonathan Martinez, Jose Aldo, love it. Paul Craig versus Caio Barallo. Anthony Smith versus Vita Petrino. Alright, maybe not. Michel Pereira, he's back. There's some good stuff on this card. Oh my god. Elvis Brenner, my boy, after he beat the crap out of Kutateladze.
Jack Shaw.
No, is he back? He is as well.
Fighting.
Yes.
He's on this card, yeah.
Oh, love me some Jack Shaw. Jamie Malarkey as well. I like a bit of that. Okay, cool. That sounds good. We'll be back for that, listeners. You can contact us at holdombrother69@gmail.com. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. I hope you enjoyed the fights. We really did, didn't we, Tom? That was a wonderful fight card. And yeah, see you then. And goodbye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.